In the oil-rich city of Port Harcourt, everyone seemed to wear a mask. Success was measured by how much you flaunted, wealth, connections, and reputation. Ada, a 28-year-old marketing executive, knew this. She had built her career by crafting the perfect public image, rising through the ranks of a top oil company. To her colleagues and friends, she was the epitome of success, confident, polished, and always in control. But behind the polished exterior, Ada carried a secret, a dark burden that haunted her for years. 6 years ago, on a rainy night, she had been involved in a hit-and-run accident. She had been driving home late after a night out with friends when a man had darted into the road. In her panic, she hit him and drove off without stopping. Ada had told no one, convincing herself it wasn't her fault, that it was too dark to see clearly. But the guilt stayed with her, unspoken and festering beneath the surface. The incident had been buried deep within her, masked by her success and ambition. Ada had moved on, or so she thought. But Port Harcourt had a way of unmasking even the most well-hidden secrets. It was during a routine meeting with a new client that her carefully constructed world began to unravel. The client, Mr. Obina, was a prominent businessman looking to launch a major advertising campaign. As Ada sat across from him discussing strategies and potential partnerships, a cold sweat broke out on her skin. She recognized him. He was the brother of the man she had hit that fateful night. The man she had left to die in the rain. Obina didn't recognize her, of course. How could he? To him, Ada was just another professional, here to help him grow his business. But Ada's hands trembled as they shook his, and for the rest of the meeting, her mind raced with the memories she had tried so hard to forget. As the days passed, Ada couldn't shake the feeling of dread that had taken root in her chest. Her guilt, once buried deep, had risen to the surface. She began to research the accident again, finding old news articles about the hit and run. The man had survived but was in a coma for months before passing away. His family had never found out who was responsible. Ada's conscience gnawed at her. She had moved on, built a life for herself, but what about Obina and his family? They had lost someone they loved, and here she was, sitting in the lap of success, pretending none of it had happened. She knew she had to make a decision, to continue hiding behind the mask she had worn for so long, or to face the consequences of her actions. One evening, after another sleepless night, Ada made up her mind. She requested a meeting with Obina, claiming there were important changes to discuss regarding the campaign. When they sat down in his office, she could barely find the words. "Mr. Obina," she began, her voice shaking. "There's something I need to tell you. Something I've been hiding for a long time." Obina frowned, confused. "What is it, Ada? What's going on?" Ada took a deep breath, her heart pounding in her chest. 6 years ago, I was involved in an accident. A hit-and-run accident. The man I hit was your brother." The room went silent. Obina's face darkened as he processed what she'd just said. He stood up slowly, rage and disbelief flashing in his eyes. "What are you saying?" he asked, his voice low and dangerous. "You killed my brother?" Tears welled in Ada's eyes as she nodded, unable to speak. The weight of her confession pressed down on her, crushing the mask she had worn for years. Obina stared at her, his expression a mix of anger, pain, and betrayal. "Why now? Why are you telling me this after all these years?" "I couldn't live with it anymore," Ada whispered. "I'm sorry, I know saying that won't bring him back, but I needed to tell you the truth. I needed to face it." For a moment, Obina said nothing. Then without a word, he turned and walked out of the office, leaving Ada alone with her guilt. The days that followed were some of the hardest of Ada's life. She expected Obina to take legal action, to expose her secret to the world, but weeks passed and nothing happened. Ada was left in a limbo of guilt and uncertainty, unsure of what her future held. One morning, she received a letter. It was from Obina. In it, he explained that he had thought long and hard about what she had confessed. While he couldn't forgive her easily, he had decided not to pursue legal action. His family had already suffered enough, and dragging the past into the present wouldn't bring his brother back. "But remember," the letter read, "you'll have to live with this for the rest of your life. No amount of success or money will ever unmask the truth you tried to hide." Ada folded the letter and placed it in a drawer, her hands shaking. She had unmasked herself, but the scars would remain. From that day on, she vowed to live a life of honesty, no longer hiding behind the lies she had told herself.